Howdy, my name in this here video is Skye, and I suppose some call me one of those DIY guys, you know, do it yourself, but DOYI or DOIY or do it over yourself, cause it needs some fixin', is more like it. And here I am with my little house here, and got me a garage too. And yeah, I'm probably gonna say this every time to open the show, cause ya know this is the intro, so just bear with me. Anyway, well maybe some call me lazy cause of the not much money thing, but I tell ya if I had all that money and was hiring somebody else to do it, then who's the lazy one? Okay, well maybe we don't all have skills to do everything, but when you got no money, you got to develop skills. That's when you're not being lazy during the daytime. Now some may ask me, if you have no money, how'd you get that nice video cam mirror and all? Well, I say it was gifted me by someone nice, so there you go. Oh, and sorry about that, it came out a little out of focus, but well y'all can hear what I'm saying. And I gotta say up front per usual, if you're under 18 years old, you need to get your parents to supervise you, or maybe they will just do it themselves. So anyhow, this episode today is gonna be about holes in your house that you probably don't know or think about, and how that affects things and what to do. You'll see what I mean if you watch this. And hopefully this here video will inform you a thing or two, bring it to your attention, in case it comes in handy for you down the road. I'll provide you some pictures so you can get the drift of it. I'm not a fan of bringing my nice camera into those difficult or dirty situations and mess it up. By the way, I seem to got me a scratchy throat today, probably from climbing up on that roof last time and catching some dust or something, so pardon me for not sounding myself. Yeah, please catch that last video I did about fixing your roof ridge vent. Today I had two ideas during my nap, and thought I'd do two videos about them, but then I realized they were related, so today's show is about leaving holes in your house, and what that means for you, and what you need to do to fix it. And yes, these were both things I fixed previously for myself, so I didn't get bothered during my nap situations. Too many people think their house is haunted or something cause they are hearing sounds in their walls or ceiling or in their kitchens cabinets scratching and munching and whatnot, and other times wondering where all those stink bugs, ladybugs, and whatnot showing up in their living room, etc. By the way, the word is etc., not EKCETERA, just so you know next time you hear a bunch of people say it wrong. I should talk, right? Firstly, those bug problems. One way they come about is through those crazy roof twirly vents, aka roof turbines they call them, that get looking like some industrial baker's hat, or factory and such. And they get a spinning for a time, they rust up and stop moving after a spell. And you know it's not blowing wind most of the time, so they are about as deficient, or inefficient, as a hole in the ground, so why not use something more practical? I had two of them in my old house and had to replace them since they didn't spin much good anymore. So, here's what I used, and what I installed after taking those Baker hat non-spinners down and tossing them away. Anyway, mine got blown clear sideways in a windstorm. Roof looked better too. Was a simple matter of unscrewing 3 screws. Mine had those Phillips head screws, so you need a Phillips head screwdriver, looks like a plus sign if you don't know, and then install the new vent. I recommend for what that's worth, what they call a static roof vent, and it has much narrower slots, prevent those pesky big bugs from getting in it for the got air to pass though from the attic, and they say it's just as efficient as these root turbines that don't really do much good if they're not spinning or seize up after 1,000 miles of spinning, in place, also with 3 of the same screws if you want, or use the new ones, and you're pretty much done. Now you can also use some roof and sealant in there around the connection, but honestly that stuff probably be gone in 6 months, so up to you. So how does this help any, you may be asking by now? Well, I seen one too many DIY supposed guys showing how to install these twirly roof vents, and they get all done and voila, look how beautiful it is, but they fail to tell you something important. That big, all 10 or 12-inch circular hole in your roof underneath there, they left that wide open. So most of the time when the twirly bird vent is not spinning at all, well, if you ever been yourself up on a roof, especially in the spring or summer, there be bugs up there like stink bugs, wasps and whatnot, and they are very happy to fly down into the twirly vent with its big, all 1/4-inch vent holes in them, and right straight down into your attic space, and then wind themselves down in your living room or whatnot. So first big hole in your roof to tackle, please get yourself some steel screen from your local hardware store, or if you're like me, I got some in my garage there. Cut up a nice piece, doesn't matter a circle or a square, and you can even make it fancy with a frame of some sort around it if you want, matters not, and get yourself some short nails or tacks, or use a staple gun if you have one, and go right into your attic space and staple that screening right up there to cover that big hole under the roof vent there to block those nasty bugs from getting in, and save yourself a headache. So now onto the subject of other holes in your house, and I mean that somebody, amateurs or even pros, if they're in a hurry, and not forward thinking, and this is an even more common hole problem in my opinion, for what that's worth to ya. And I seen this in a couple of houses where people dealt with this but didn't know where the problem was. We're talking about mouse problems, and people just start sticking down mouse traps of all kinds to deal with it, like in their kitchen for instance, where the biggest problem is a lot of times. And they just keep on putting those mouse traps of all kinds, some with the so-called humane traps where you catch them and release them somewhere outside, so they can find their way back in your house or your neighbors. Other times snap or sticky traps, but we won't go there today. Please don't use those sticky traps, they can get their tails stuck on them and, oh well, forget it. So here's what I found and fixed as the biggest problem I found in kitchens mainly, but could be elsewhere in the house. You know that thing in your kitchen called an oven or stove, like an electric oven, and that other thing in your kitchen called a dishwasher? And man, I even saw this with the microwave oven set up above the stove. So what is he talking about, you're thinking to yourself? I am talking about holes. People who installed those appliances in your kitchen, they have to run electrical lines, cables to those appliances, and how do they do that? They drill big, old holes in your kitchen floor, under or between the kitchen cabinet areas, come up through the ceiling from your basement or crawl space. And when they drill those holes, I guess they are lazy too, and use a doorknob drill bit or something half an inch or an inch wide, and after they drill it out, and run the electric wire through, guess what they don't do? They don't bother to fill in the gap, so now you got a gaping gap around the electric line, or if it's a gas stove, a gas line, so now you got the probability of any little critters get in through your basement or crawl space, hop up, and oh yeah, they can jump, yep, into your basement ceiling, and have a nice inviting grand central station hole in your kitchen floor to get through, and find their way into your kitchen cabinets and have snacks, and maybe elsewhere into your house to hang out. One person even told me they had one hopping on their dining table and nibbling on some holiday chocolates. Yup, they like chocolate too. And I told you about the microwave oven, the previous installer left gaping holes in the wall behind it, and when I took it down, there was mouse droppings all on the top of the microwave, so they were getting in there and partying. So, long story short, this is where a lot of your mice are getting into your house and kitchen, through these holes in the floor, cause you're looking around the walls and see no holes, because they are back behind or under your oven or dishwasher, and you probably want to check your dryer if it's in your house, that some guy didn't drill a gaping hole in your wall to run a dryer vent, and don't get me started on those too. So, you need to get your appliances pulled forward, clean up the mouse stuff, don't use a vacuum cause that's going to blow mouse droppings all over through the air output, and wash it up with cleaner. Then do yourself a favor, get yourself some nice steel wool, with no soap in them, or copper mesh scrubbing pads which you can pull apart into larger sections, and poke that into the hole openings to close up the gaps in those holes I talked about. And then what I did was get some cork, like silicone cork or better, ask your hardware store, and shoot that into and all around the steel wool or copper mesh to get them glued into place so they can't be pushed out. And better yet, after you're done with the steel wool or copper mesh, cover up the floor area with another layer of flooring, whether wood or flooring tiles or whatnot. That will go a very long way to keeping your house free of unwanted pests finding their way into your kitchen and house. And from then on, no more need for mouse traps, and you'll have quiet naps with no annoyances of that nature. And your wife will be much happier too. And by the way, mice will also try to dig their way up through a wall near the floor, so if you have weak walls in some spots, you will want to install some copper mesh and new floor molding there too, with cork glue and all that. You will be happy you did. So there you go. Don't let any of these roof or floor holes ruin your life, fix them up and be done with it. Anyhow, hope you got something out of this video and are now aware of this holes in your roof and floor situation, what it causes, and how you need to fix it and why, so now you can't say you didn't know. As I say, you don't want to leave your place in a bad state, or you're gonna have a worse mess soon enough. Then you might really need to stop being lazy like me, as they tell me, and get yourself a professional to fix the mess. Take care now, see you next time. If you catch me napping, just knock or yell. Ya gotta take care of yourself now and then too, especially after climbing up on the roof crawl space or something and your back and knees and elbows hurt. Oh man, I gotta catch a nap.